This project is hugely relevant today as we are grappling with the carbon footprint created by the building industry. And by looking back to the circular economies of the past and how sustainable they were, we try to create here a similar cycle that can achieve a net zero carbon balance. My name is Tanja Romankiewicz. I'm a lecturer in archaeology at the University of Edinburgh, and I've been the project director of the two grassroots projects that you can see behind me. The project has many aims. It's the training, it's the use of traditional skills and natural materials, but for me the key aim is to connect people with their past and building resilience with people, building resilience in architecture for a sustainable future in the face of our climate crisis. This has been key for these two projects, translating concepts of the past, use of materials of the past into a modern setting.
I'm Daniel Postma. I'm running the workshops here at the Grassroots Hutting project, and what we're looking to do is to build a hut and to train people in how to do that. The design for this hut is based on archaeological remains excavated throughout Perthshire and throughout Scotland really. But we've used a number of sites that have been documented within Perthshire and within Strathern specifically to base this design on, and it's effectively a 2/3 scale of round houses, so from Iron Age times, that were excavated close to Glen Eagles. The materials that we're using for this build are all sourced within a few hundred metres from where we're building the hut, with a few exceptions like the windows. So from a nearby quarry just a few hundred metres up the hill, we've sourced some sand and glacial boulders to build the plinth course and the foundation, and then the turf for the walling material. The majority of the walling material is literally sourced a stone's throw away from where we're building the hut. Then for the timbers, we've sourced naturally curved birch roundwood from a woodland, again just slightly up the hill within walking distance, and bracken that we're using for the thatch is sourced right behind the hut. To source the turf for this build, we cut vertically in the shape of the block shape that we're looking to use. So these are 60 centimetres long and 25 centimetres wide. We just cut out a strip using spades, and then we use an undercutting spade to actually lift the block out of the ground.
We've erected the couples that we made on site, connected them with purlins, and then covered these in rafters, and that's the substructure for our thatch. Bracken was used a lot as a traditional thatching material in Scotland, and because it's available on site, we've chosen to thatch with bracken here. We don't need to transport it far, we can source it right here, and it's a long-lasting material as well. The bundles that we make go up onto the roof, then are laid into position. We cut the string, spread it out so we don't get any gullies where the water can get through, and then all of that is weighed down with turf, which helps to keep it in place.
My name is Colin Tennant. I'm Head of Technical Education and Training with Historic Environment Scotland. People these days have lost touch with how buildings are made, how local materials are utilised. We view buildings as being a commodity which we use and access, and we have very little contact with how they're actually constructed and developed as we had in the past. And we've now got a disconnect that is something that we can address through projects like this, and I think that helps us gain a better understanding of how we can go through a just transition to net zero.
We designed the project with this in mind, to create communities of practice, modelling this on the past where similarly people would have come together as a community to build this house. We wanted to create an inclusive environment where everybody can bring their own skills and experiences to connect back to these communities in the past, but interpreting it in their own way, building their own structures from the same materials that the people would have been using in the past.
This project has been organised in a series of workshops, each lasting a full week, so providing ample opportunity for participants to spend time on the tools, learn many aspects of handling, cutting, processing and then applying these natural building materials that we've sourced on site.
I just really love learning new skills. So yeah, I think seeing how kind of basic the joinery can be, comparing it to other stuff that we do like in the industry, I've really enjoyed seeing that side of it. I'm hoping to be able to use more local wood. I think these scales and joints work really well with the kind of timber that we have here in Scotland.
I'm hoping to use as many more of these skills actually to work on, again, reconstructed houses from very early history, and hopefully to get maybe a traineeship, more craft knowledge, and potentially at some point be able to go to open-air museums all across the UK, all across Europe, and share skills like these.
My favourite part has actually been meeting the other participants. People have come from a whole range of backgrounds, of interests, and people have been involved in really interesting projects outside of here, and just hearing about their experiences and feeling connected to them in this project has been really great.
The concepts of circularity were really key to this project, and they come from my archaeological research. By studying the people of the past, I understood that they were operating in a system that we would label today as circular economy. They were growing their turfs, grazing the sheep on it, then cutting this material, building it into walls of a house where they lived in, where they housed their cattle in. And all this time, the turf walls soaked up nutrients from cooking, from dung waste. And at the end of the house life, it wasn't just abandoned and destroyed, it was a rich new resource on which they can plant their vegetables or grow the new turf. And so this circular concept, the circular economy of the past, is what we were trying to translate here. We have built a low wall structure as a turf bench to symbolize this last stage of the turf building, when it is growing over, composting and melting back into the ground. And on the left hand side we have built a hut that is just ready to be moved in and used by people today.
It's very exciting to have reached this point, that the workshops have been concluded and the building is up and standing. It's dried out very nicely over summer and looking good. And I'm very excited to see how the local communities, as they're starting to take ownership of this building, are looking to move it forward and transform it from a skills exercise into a finished structure that can serve a modern purpose.
Sustainable development has 4 key aspects: environmental, economic, social and cultural. And I think traditional skills and materials can help contribute to all 4 of those parts of the sustainable development agenda. From a social perspective, the workshops that were carried out as part of this project brought people together socially, creating new skills within them and within the local community, generating resilience within those local communities. Economically, the money that was expended on the project again stays in the local economy, building up the skill base and infrastructure within the local economy. From an environmental perspective, projects like this demonstrate how the carbon can actually be sequestrated within buildings such as this, having a positive environmental impact. And last but not least, I think the cultural significance of projects like this, where we reconnect people with how our ancestors lived, how our ancestors worked within the landscape, using traditional skills, using traditional materials and the skills that they had to create dwelling places and create a life within the landscape that they had at that time, is really important. But we think there's a lot that we can learn from the application of vernacular skills and relearning about traditional materials and how that can help us move towards net zero. HES supports projects like this because we think that we can learn a lot from the past to inform our future.